Well, welcome to the wake-up call. It is I'm so glad that you are here. You've made the decision this morning to start your day and win the day with the wake-up call. And I hope that you are ready to get started, because we're ready to get started. So we are in Chapter 12 of The Little Things Matter by Todd Smith. And today it's all about making tough decisions. Have you ever had to make a tough decision in your life? I know Jamie and I definitely have. And maybe you're having to make a tough decision right now. And our hope and prayer is that this chapter today will help give some insight. So, making tough decisions. In the course of our lives, we're faced with many important decisions. Do we leave a secure job with an established company to take a higher paying job with a new startup company? Should I invest in starting my own business? What home should we buy? Do we relocate to another city? Do I stay in a difficult marriage? How should I invest in my savings? Oh my goodness, those are all questions that Todd is asking us this morning. Now, the outcome of any of these decisions will play a vital role in your success and happiness. Make the right decisions, and life is good. Make the wrong decisions, and things can get ugly in a hurry. Now, Todd says, 10 years ago, I attended a leadership event where a former president of the United States was interviewed. He explained how he makes his most difficult decisions. Of all the decision-making processes I have learned about and implemented, this one is the best. So now he's going to take some time to explain a president's process for decision-making. He shares there are a few things here that the president did. Number one, seek wise counsel. When he had a critical decision to make, he brought together the highest-ranking, most valued members of his team, including outsiders who had the greatest insight into the situation. Number two, understand the facts. With this group, the key facts of the situation were clearly outlined so he and everyone on his team would have a complete understanding of the challenge at hand. Number three, discover all options. On a large board, the team listed every realistic option available to addressing the situation. Number four, reduce the options. After considering all available options, they narrowed the list down to the best and most obvious choices. Number five, explore the pros and cons of each option. The team then made a list of the pros and cons of each option. After completing this step, the top two or three top options became clear. The next one, focus on the cons. They dissected and discussed each con, not the pros. The president wanted to have a plan in advance for how he and his administration would handle each of the potential cons if and when the situation would arise. And the last one, number seven, make the decision. After going through this process with his most valued advisors, the president removed all emotions and made his decision based on the facts. The president was asked, do you look for consensus among the members of your team in making these types of critical decisions? He acknowledged he would always seek consensus among his team. He said, if I bring together my best people and go through this process, I would like for us to collectively agree on the best solution. Now, Todd said, since listening to this interview 10 years ago and incorporating the steps outlined, I have made very few bad decisions. This decision-making strategy, combined with my life experiences, have taught me the importance of seeking a wise counsel to plan for the worst-case scenario and to remove all emotion from the process and to make decisions based on facts and logic. Wow, that's what I have to say about this chapter. So, Jamie, I'm going to turn it over to you to get your take on it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, gosh, just kind of listening and to that, I think, the biggest thing many times is just so many times you heard is seek counsel, seek counsel, seek counsel. But the many times folks mistake seeking counsel for seeking approval, right? So when you're looking for advice or you're seeking counsel, you're seeking for people that might see things, different than you, that might see unintended consequences that maybe you don't see, not just a sounding board that will agree with your grievances, which many times I always think, and we were talking about this yesterday, like your marriage is probably one of the biggest, if not biggest decision that you're going to make in life, right? But if you're having problems, or if you want to seek counsel, seeking counsel from all of your single friends that don't have a successful marriage, is probably not the right place, right? You seek counsel from people who have what you want. I love, your mom and dad, they've been married, 50 plus years, and they're just a great example of a good marriage. So to seek counsel there is super, super important for us. And so I think, when you're looking at seeking counsel, obviously leadership, and president is very high level of leadership. But at any rate, you are many times leading your family, leading a small group, leading in your job, or if nothing else, you're leading yourself through life. If you can't lead yourself, you won't be able to lead others. But we're all called into some form of leadership. Inevitably, if we're believers, we're called to lead people to Christ. And so it's seeking counsel, I think, from those who have a life that you want. And then when you look at the cons, many times I think that's just, we talk about a lot, unintended consequences. And I think that comes with emotional maturity, comes with just seeing things from a bigger perspective, bigger than yourself. But obviously, I think the real takeaway is you just take it to Facebook, and obviously that's going to fix all of the problems. You just throw it out there, and you're going to get a lot of approval from the rest of the drama hounds. But no, in all seriousness, that is certainly not the way, but it's definitely what we see nowadays through social media, which is a whole nother thing in itself. That is not seeking counsel in any kind of way. So that's my takeaways, and I'll turn it back to you.
I love that. We have had so much fun looking at this chapter over the past, few days, and really talking about it amongst one another. And the one thing that stands out to me is when Todd explains to remove all emotions from the decision-making process. And I think that is really key because, God created us as emotional creatures, right? And oftentimes, though, our emotions can get in the way and really cloud our judgment. And so lots of times we need to have those people, and not just lots of times, I believe at all times, in our lives that are willing to tell us the truth about things. And people that you love and people that you respect. And I know Jamie mentioned my parents, and, they are our counsel for really almost everything in our lives because we respect them so much. My mom and dad, they started dating, I believe, when they were 12 and 13 years old. And, they're in their, mid-70s right now, been married 53 years. And so we know that they have went before us in a lot of different areas of life. And so when we're faced with some decisions that we have to make, we always go to them, and we value their counsel. And I remember way back when Jamie and I, when we were really, wanting to go after some dreams that we had. Jamie was able to play professional basketball in Germany, and we actually lived there for around 4 years. And I was a senior in college. I had 1 semester to go before I graduated. I wanted to become a teacher. I was going to have my teaching degree. I was very excited about the direction of my life. And I would be the first granddaughter on either side of my parents' family to graduate college. So it was a really big deal in my life and in my family. And I remember Jamie got this contract offer to go overseas. And, he went and he left and he was overseas and he was in his beginning of his season and they were still in practice mode. And he called me and I remember he said, there's no point in me living out this dream if I don't have someone beside me to live it with. I really want you to come over here. Is this something you would consider? And immediately, God made that decision for me because for the first time in my whole life, and I've only had one other time that this has happened to me, but God very clearly spoke to me, and I heard the words go, G-O, go. And I told him, absolutely, I'll figure out a way. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to figure out a way. And I remember coming downstairs. I was in my bedroom. That was the time when we actually had, old school phones, and you had to hang up the phone and a rotary phone. And I came downstairs, and I'll never forget this. My parents were in the kitchen. My dad was reading the newspaper, and they still read the newspaper to this day, but he was sitting at the table reading the newspaper. My mom, she was cooking breakfast, and I came into the kitchen, and I stood there. And my mom turned around, and just by the look on her face, she said, "Oh, no, what are you doing?" And I said, well, Jamie called, and they were excited and asked how he was doing. And I said, he wants me to come there with him, and I'm going to go. And now remember, I was still living with my parents, and I remember the look on my mom's face, my dad putting his newspaper down and saying, no, you're not going there. How are you going to get there? And that led to a decision that I had to personally make. Now, I did share, everything that Jamie and I do now, we run through my parents. And usually their advice is spot on, but at the time, they were fearful. I was their kid, and that meant I was going to drop out of college, and I was going to go do something a little different. And we had some intense discussions about that. But at the end of the day, and I share that story because I remember my parents also saying, go for it. You're young. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's going to be scary. You're going to be on your own. And I just remember their advice meant so much to me. Was it the plan they had for my life? 100% no. However, that decision that I ultimately had to make, because, and I'm sharing this in this roundabout way to say you can also have people in your life that you go to that encourage you, and you have people in your life that might discourage your decision. But at the end of the day, you're the one that has to make the tough call. You have to make the tough decision. And I knew that that decision that I had to make for myself in my life, it was a decision that, I made along with God, turned out to be one of the greatest decisions of my life and the greatest decision for Jamie and I and our relationship. And we have so many amazing memories from that time. And it was a very difficult decision. And, I'm pleased to say that I ended up going back to college 10 years later, which we don't have time for that story, but I did graduate with my teaching degree. I went on to become a teacher. And so, be bold also in your decision making. Sometimes your decisions that you have to make might scare you, but I want to encourage you this morning to just be bold and go for it. And today the challenge is from Todd. He says good decision making is similar to learning any new skill. The more you practice, the more proficient you become. While many of your decisions may not require seeking advice of others, at the very least I can encourage you to consider all your options and the pros and cons of each. And trust me, when I had that decision to make for my life of dropping out of college and moving overseas, I definitely looked at the pros and cons of each. And I guess you could say true love trumped everything. So he says, if you will carefully consider the pros and cons of any decision you are making and remove your emotions, you will make better decisions. Now, I don't know if that goes along with what I said, true love. That definitely is a big emotion, but it turned out to be a great decision for me. So he wraps up this chapter by saying, your life is a reflection of all your decisions, big and small, serious and insignificant, short range and long range. And I really want you to think about that. Right now, where you are, wherever you're at, listening to this phone call, your life is a reflection of all your decisions. Now, the good news about that is your future is also a reflection of all your decisions. So if you have a big decision that you're having to make right now, I want to encourage you to consider that decision, right, is going to be important, because your life, your future self, and your future, life is a reflection of all your decisions. So I hope you enjoyed this chapter and our take on it. I'm going to turn it over to Jamie to unmute the line so we can say goodbye.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us today. And we will be back here tomorrow, and just say a happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. We love and appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.
Thanks,
Yount.
Have a good day, everybody.
Great call.
Goodbye, everyone. We love you. Have a great week.